Welcome one and all, this is the Peace Dealer, and I'm going to talk about Lilith in the 4th house. So when someone's Lilith is in their 4th house in astrology, you'll find that they're usually the center or instigator of any family drama. These are people that you see and they either have a beaming smile or a sour face when it comes to politics that happen within their own home. Lilith in the 4th house people though, they are able to garner like amazing homes. All right, it may seem like they might have to go through some hardship. Maybe they have to have lived in a really crappy place before they get a real good place, but honestly, more often than not, Lilith will just use its black magic witchcraft to attract like the most exotic type houses. You could almost say erotic, but that's not necessarily the right type of word. It's just a home where it's not even so much the home that it's erotic or exotic. It could be a plain looking house, but the vibration of the house, the community it's in, it's going to be one that instills and is able for that person to really let loose and be sexually comfortable. Because you have to remember, the 4th house is the house of comfort. The opposite of the 4th house is the 10th house, where you go out and you take your rising sign and you put that mask on hard because you have to have this face for the world. And then you go home, the opposite to your 4th house, where you can just relax and just be on your couch like, oh yes. So people with Lilith in the 4th house, they're incredibly erotic. Once they decide to take you home behind closed doors, incredibly sexual. These are the people who they're not the same person that you met outside than they were, you know, when they're in their own comfortable abode, which to a degree everyone is like that, but these people take it to a whole entire other level. And it's pretty cool because normally when Lilith kind of goes to its extremes, it's not necessarily expressed right, but because the 4th house kind of represents that foundation in a way, it kind of ends up working out. So keep what I said in mind, because you may be a Lilith in the 4th house and you're not in an environment that allows you to express that. You may be in a very strict family. You may be in a place that kind of shames you for being comfortable in your own home. And those type of people are going to leave the house early. It's their ambition that's going to attract the right house to them as well. I really want to stress, because 4th house is a lot more relatives and family, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of self-esteem, but Lilith in the 4th house has a lot to do with the psychology of how you feel comfortable in a home. Lilith just kind of goes all out when it comes to her feeling comfortable in her own throne. People in Lilith in the 4th house treat their home like it's a castle too. So if you find those with Lilith in the 4th house that are modest, be very wary. They could be fooling themselves because they might have been drilled into their head that they have to stop acting like such a diva or stop acting like such a queen for stuff that they probably garnered themselves. When a man has Lilith in his 4th house, his relationship to mothering, nurturing figure is going to be very casual, but it's also going to be very weird. Not necessarily because of a conventional way of thinking where maybe there's like this hidden sexual connection between them and a mother figure, but it's always going to be casual and strained at the same time, because the expectations that that mother figure has on that man with this Lilith in the 4th house is going to be significantly disproportionate to other people, especially in the context of siblings. That Lilith in the 4th house person is either going to be over favored or they're going to be the least favored, and there's always going to be some imbalance and inequality, but there's the casual element to where they can confer to that mother figure like they're equals instead of there being like a level to it. And a woman with their Lilith in the 4th house, they're going to be extremely nurturing in a very sensual and sexual way, but they're going to add that touch to it when they nurture others, and they can be a little bit too nurturing. Track back, men with that position attract women like this too, and it could be a bit conflicting because men with their Lilith in the 4th house are ironically, like, they may want that nurturing figure, but they kind of want the opposite of that, but they're going to attract the nurturing figure. Then over time learn to love that nurturing figure because it reflects that part in them that they try to shut out. Where women are going to be that nurturing figure to a little bit of an extreme. So let's also keep in mind the 4th house is very pivotal because it squares the 1st and the 7th house. We already talked a bit about the 10th house. So Lilith in the 4th house individuals are extremely ambitious, but they can take way too many compromises in their relationships with others just so that they can keep the stasis of non-conflict in their home of abode. They want that to be a source of peace, but Lilith is going to agitate that and add controversy because Lilith, the attitude of Lilith, she doesn't necessarily like things to go by too smooth when conflict can bring up the truth. She's not trying to beat around the bush, and the 4th house is all about your comfort zone. So final thing I'll say about this position is people with their Lilith in the 4th house will always not feel like they're in their comfort zone. Even when they're in their comfort zone, this is what makes them very strong people because they have to get used to not feeling like they're in their comfort zone. There's always going to be some element or influence that's pushing them out to do things that they're not comfortable doing, and it really ends up evolving their character. But they could get unnecessary criticism from authority figures because it's opposite the 10th house. Somebody could do the exact same thing this Lilith in the 4th house did, but the Lilith in the 4th house is going to get in more trouble for it, whereas the other person may get a slap on the wrist or even praised. So that's a little bit about this position, and until next video.